Earth had come to its end, as if someone had switched it off like a dying game console. The planet was drained of all life, oceans stilled, skies dimmed, and hope was gone. Then an enigmatic being appeared, offering humanity a final solution. People would be sent to other worlds to bring back the spark of life. These chosen heroes were called dispatchers, those who traveled beyond dimensions to save a dying Earth. Among the countless dreamers stood Ochansu, a weary young man stuck in a dead-end job. He watched the shining dispatchers on giant screens, his heart filled with envy and longing. But reality struck hard when his boss's voice shouted behind him, "Hey, stop daydreaming and get to work." Chansu snapped back, grabbed his sickle, and began cutting vines faster than anyone else. He couldn't afford to lose another job. Not again. When the work was done, his boss actually praised him, calling him a hard worker. But even praise couldn't fill the emptiness inside. Later that day, Chansu tried to apply for the dispatcher test. He waited in line, clutching his small application card, but when it was his turn, the clerk barely looked at him. "Not enough balance. Come back when you've got the funds." Before Chansu could respond, another man shoved him aside. Rejected and humiliated, he turned and walked away into the crowded streets. As he reached home, old memories came flooding back. His father, once a top-tier returner, had left on a mission and never returned. His mother promised to find him and come back soon, but she never did. Now, even their faces were fading from his mind. He was completely alone. Suddenly, a blinding light ripped through the sky. The explosion threw him to the floor, the walls shaking, glass shattering. His phone buzzed with an alert. Disaster warning. S-Class Returner Eyes Retirement. Chansu stared at the broadcast. A powerful returner appeared on screen, exhausted and broken. "I failed to protect the god," he said. "I lost my comrades. I can't continue." With those words, the man announced his retirement, leaving Earth without its strongest protector. Chansu stood frozen, his thoughts a storm of fear and confusion. If even an S-Class returner could fail, what hope did he have? Then, a soft knock came from the gate outside. He hesitated, heart pounding, and slowly opened the door. There, standing under the dim light, was a rabbit, a small talking rabbit, looking straight at him. "Are you Chansu?" it asked. Chansu could barely speak. "What? What is this?" The rabbit smiled calmly. "Congratulations," it said. "You've been chosen. You are now a dispatcher." For a moment, time itself seemed to stop. Chansu's eyes widened in disbelief as the words echoed in his mind. A dream that once felt unreachable had just become his reality. Chansu pushed with all his strength, trying to force the massive door open, but it wouldn't budge an inch. The rabbit, watching calmly, tilted its head and said, "You do know that door isn't going to open, right?" Then it pointed toward a smaller entrance, a tiny round hole that looked just big enough for the rabbit itself. Chansu blinked in disbelief. "You expect me to fit through that?" The rabbit nodded. "Of course." "Why not?" Frustration flared inside him. "Because I'm human, not a rabbit." He groaned, stepping back, ready to give up. "Forget it. I'm going home." But as he turned, the rabbit's calm voice stopped him. "Are you sure about that?" it asked. "You failed every test before. You were called unfit. Do you really think this opportunity will come again?" Chansu froze. The words pierced through his doubt. He turned around, trembling slightly, realizing the rabbit wasn't just mocking him, it was testing him. The rabbit smiled faintly. "I'm only repeating what you once said yourself. You've already overcome so much to get here. Don't walk away now." With a deep breath, Chansu crouched down and stared at the tiny opening. "This is insane," he muttered, trying to squeeze himself through. His arms and shoulders pressed against the sides painfully as he forced himself in. On the other side, he stumbled into a brightly lit room, surprisingly normal, almost cozy. The rabbit looked at him and chuckled. "What did you expect? A divine temple?" Before Chansu could answer, the rabbit handed him a glowing card. "Welcome to block-type territory capture," it said proudly. This is your new world. Chansu read the card out loud, confused. Block type. Territory capture? What is this supposed to be? The rabbit laughed. You've really never heard of it? It's the trendiest world right now, protected by a god. The word god made Chansu hesitate. He remembered the failed returner on the news, the one who'd lost his god and retired, but the rabbit quickly reassured him. Relax, this isn't connected to that mess. Normally a god is assigned at random, but today, you get to choose. It spread out 3 glowing cards in its paw. Choose wisely, it said. Opportunities like this don't come twice. Chansu stared at the cards nervously. He didn't even know what they meant. Still, he couldn't hesitate forever. Fine, he said. I'll take the middle one. The moment he picked it up, a wave of dark energy exploded. Ghostly figures and skeletons whirled around him. The god of negation. 44%, the rabbit read aloud. Chansu's eyes widened. That sounds awful. The rabbit shrugged. Just special effects. Can I pick again? Chansu pleaded. Sure, the rabbit said casually. He drew another card and froze. The god of negation, again. 45% this time, the rabbit said, amused. Chansu shouted, Is this rigged? The rabbit gave him a sharp look. It's not the cards that are wrong, it's your luck. Swallowing hard, Chansu stared at the final card. Okay, last try. He reached out, trembling, praying for something good. The moment he touched it, a warm light spread through the air. The card glowed green. The goddess of abundance, the rabbit announced. Chansu sighed in relief. Finally, something that doesn't sound cursed. But then his thoughts drifted somewhere inappropriate, and he snickered quietly. The rabbit's expression turned disgusted. What are you thinking, human? That's vile. Nothing, Chansu blurted out, face red. The rabbit shook its head. You're hopeless. Anyway, that's your god, the goddess of abundance. A faint female voice suddenly filled the air. Congratulations, O Chansu. You have been chosen to serve the goddess of abundance. A woman's figure appeared briefly, her face blurred, glowing with divine light, and then vanished. Chansu's heart raced. That was her, the goddess herself. He clenched his fists. All right then, let's do this. The rabbit smiled, opening a shimmering portal in front of him. Then step forward, dispatcher. Your journey begins here. Chansu stared at the swirling darkness. That doesn't look very safe. The rabbit rolled its eyes. It's perfectly fine. It's beautiful. It looks like a black hole, Chansu yelled. Before he could hesitate further, the rabbit gave him a little push. Hey, wait, Chansu shouted as he fell into the portal. The rabbit smirked. See you on the other side, dispatcher. Then a distant, echoing voice spoke from the void. Why did you send him already? The rabbit's smile faded. You know why. I couldn't lose him, too. The voice replied coldly, You're breaking the rules. The rabbit lowered its head. Maybe. But I still believe in my God. And with that, the portal closed, swallowing Chansu whole. At the heart of the swirling portal, Chansu felt himself spinning endlessly. Suddenly, a glowing system window appeared before his eyes. Chansu yelled in frustration, So it's not about luck, it's about power. And you're telling me this now? Before he could react, the light around him shattered. He crashed face first onto dry, cracked ground, surrounded by a lifeless, barren wasteland. He looked around in disbelief. This is the land of the goddess of abundance? He groaned. Where's the abundance? This place looks like it's allergic to life. Another system message blinked to life. Welcome, Apostle of Importance. Your task, claim territory and expand your domain. Chansu frowned. Apostle of Importance? Did they mean abundance? He sighed. Great. My goddess can't even spell right. Still, he knew complaining wouldn't change anything. With a deep breath, he decided to start exploring. All right, time to find this so-called goddess. As he walked, something shiny caught his eye. A rusty sickle half buried in the dirt. He picked it up, twirling it in his hand. Huh, this feels familiar. That's when he felt it, a faint presence behind him. His body froze. A monster? Already? Gripping the sickle tightly, he whispered, I can't die before I even meet her. He spun around, swinging with all his strength, and stopped mid-swing. Behind him wasn't a monster at all, but a tiny trembling hamster. It squeaked in terror, tears welling in its beady eyes. Chansu blinked. You've got to be kidding me. This is the monster? The hamster kept crying, shaking so much it could barely stand. Part of him felt guilty. The other part thought, if I capture it, maybe I'll get points. The hamster wailed even louder as if it understood him. Chansu sighed. Okay, fine. I won't hurt you. He smiled softly. You're way too cute to fight anyway. The little creature sniffled, then turned around and began to scurry off. Chansu called out, Hey, where are you going? The hamster paused, glancing back at him, almost like it was beckoning. You want me to follow you? Chansu asked. The hamster squeaked once and darted away again. Hey, wait up! Chansu shouted, chasing after it through the dry terrain. He stumbled over rocks, gasping for air. You're fast for a furball. After what felt like forever, they stopped beside a shimmering waterfall, the only living thing in this barren world. Chansu knelt down, scooping a handful of water to his lips. It was cold, refreshing, and real. Panting, he looked at the hamster. So, this is your home? The hamster squeaked softly, almost in agreement. Chansu chuckled. Not bad. But tell me, do you know where the goddess of abundance is? The hamster tilted its head, chirping faintly. It didn't understand a word. He sighed. Figures. Cute, but useless. Then, to his surprise, the hamster pointed its tiny paw deeper into the forest, as if signaling him to keep going. Chansu blinked. You're guiding me? The hamster nodded once and dashed ahead again. Chansu grinned, gripping his sickle. All right then, little buddy. Led the way. And for the first time since arriving, he felt it, a faint spark of hope in the desolate world of the goddess of abundance. Chansu followed the tiny hamster deeper into the strange new world, unsure of where it was leading him. After a long walk through the barren land, they stopped before a massive ancient tree, its trunk towering into the clouds. He reached out to touch it, amazed by its size, until he noticed how dry and lifeless it was. The bark crumbled beneath his fingers, just like the trees back on Earth. While examining the roots, his foot hit something soft. He looked down and froze. It was a piece of ginseng, shriveled and gray. What's this doing here? He muttered. The hamster ran to it instantly, crying as it hugged the withered root. Wait, was this your pet? Chansu asked awkwardly, but before he could say more, a system window appeared before his eyes. You have discovered the deity of this area. Chansu's eyes widened. Deity? You mean this dried-up root? The hamster tugged at his pants, squeaking desperately. At first, Chansu thought it wanted comfort, but then he realized the truth. This ginseng is the goddess of abundance? Panic washed over him. No way! A goddess is supposed to be radiant, powerful, alive. He stared at the wilted plant, refusing to believe it. But then, a faint green glow began to shimmer from within the ginseng. He took a step back, heart pounding. No, that can't be her. Yet something inside him knew it was true. He fell to his knees, guilt creeping in. Did I step on her? The hamster squeaked sadly, confirming his fear. Desperate to fix things, Chansu grabbed his water flask. Maybe she's just thirsty. He poured water over the ginseng, hoping it would help. To his relief, the plant began to stir, small movements, a faint pulse of light. "It's working!" he shouted, pouring even more water. But soon a faint voice whispered, "Stop! Too much!" The goddess was drowning. Chansu jumped back, terrified, and the hamster frantically waved its paws. Then, with a soft sigh, the ginseng began to move again. The goddess of abundance had awakened. Chansu knelt before her, trembling. "I'm, oh Chansu, your apostle. I didn't mean to hurt you." The goddess blinked weakly, unable to speak, but clearly aware. Suddenly, a new system message appeared. "Tip, use your skills to grow stronger." "Skills?" Chansu muttered. Two appeared before him. Blessing of abundance and blessing of abundance. Behead. He froze. "Behead?" His eyes darted to the goddess. Why would the goddess of abundance give me something so violent? He scratched his head, muttering, "Does she mean cutting crops? Or cutting people?" His gaze drifted toward the hamster, happily playing by the roots. A dreadful thought entered his mind. He tightened his grip on the sickle. "If it means sacrifice for her, maybe I have to—" The hamster stopped playing, staring at him in fear. Chansu raised the sickle with trembling hands. "I'm sorry, little one. It's for the goddess." But before he could swing, the hamster screamed, and the goddess too. Their eyes widened, staring at something behind him. A low, guttural sound echoed through the air. Chansu turned, and his heart stopped. A shadowy figure emerged, tall, cloaked, its body made of rippling darkness. Dozens of glowing white eyes blinked from within its hood, and golden lightning symbols crackled across its form. Its skeletal fingers reached out toward him. The ground shook. Mist swirled around its feet. Death itself had taken shape before him. Chansu's instincts screamed, "Run!" But something inside him snapped. "No!" he growled. "This time I fight." He clenched his sickle, a system message flashing. "Skill available. Decapitation." He charged forward, leaping through the fog. The creature screeched as Chansu brought the sickle down with all his strength. A blinding flash, and then silence. The monster's body split in two, dissolving into ash. Breathing hard, Chansu turned to the goddess and the hamster. "Are you both okay?" They looked stunned, and then to his surprise, the hamster gave him a tiny thumbs up. Chansu smiled weakly. "Thanks, little guy." He knelt beside the ginseng and bowed his head. "I'm sorry for doubting you, my goddess." A warm light surrounded her, her withered body now glowing faintly, restored bit by bit. A new message appeared. Immortal Oni Hunt, one of 222. Tribute transferred to the goddess. Chansu's eyes widened. "That thing was an Oni, and I actually killed it?" He looked back at the goddess, her form now brighter, her skin smoother, alive once more. A small smile spread across his face. "At this rate," he said softly, "you'll shine again soon, my goddess of abundance." Chansu gazed at the glowing ginseng, the goddess of abundance, now brighter and livelier than ever. A spark of hope lit in his chest. "At this rate," he said, "you'll regain your true form soon." With his tiny companion Hamdal hopping beside him, Chansu marched into the wilderness again, determined to hunt more monsters and gather tributes for his goddess. The ground trembled as he reached a new area swarming with mud-like immortal Oni. A system alert flashed. Points earned can be used for world features. Trading disabled. Chansu blinked. "Wait, I've been earning points this whole time?" He laughed, gripping his sickle. "Well, time to earn more." The system flared. Skill activated. Decapitation. He charged into battle, cutting through the sluggish creatures one after another. Each swing of his sickle echoed through the air as the monsters fell apart like clay dolls. System windows popped up non-stop. Immortal Oni Hunt +1. Fueled by adrenaline, Chansu shouted, "Let's make it 100!" Before long, every Oni in the area lay defeated. Hamdal cheered and patted Chansu's cheek with its tiny paw. Attack 100%, damage 0%. Chansu chuckled. You're too cute for this world. When he looked back, the goddess's glow had grown even stronger. Her energy radiated warmth through the entire clearing. She's recovering faster than I imagined, Chansu thought, though a mischievous grin hinted his thoughts weren't entirely pure. The goddess then pointed upward, toward the towering tree. You want me to lift you up there? He asked. Carefully, he cradled her in his hands and climbed. At her signal, he placed his palm against the bark. A system prompt appeared. You can use a skill. Tip, consume all points. Without hesitation, he activated Blessing of Plenty. A burst of vibrant green light surrounded them. The air hummed with life as Chansu poured every point he had earned into the skill. Moments later, the once barren tree transformed, its branches heavy with enormous glowing apples. Chansu's jaw dropped. This is insane. He picked one of the giant apples, marveling at its size and color. I've never seen anything like this on Earth. Before taking a bite, he knelt and offered it to the goddess. The first harvest belongs to you. The ginseng joyfully chomped down the apple, finishing it in seconds. You already finished it? Chansu muttered, both impressed and terrified. Hamdal jumped up and down, demanding his share. Soon, all three of them were munching on apples under the glowing tree. The fruit was unbelievably sweet, and for a moment, Chansu forgot his worries. But deep down, the thought of his decapitation skill lingered like a shadow. Why would a goddess of abundance give such a violent gift? He whispered to himself. Meanwhile, the goddess, Giselle, watched him quietly, wondering who this boy really was. In just one day, he had hunted monsters, revived her tree, and created a harvest. She couldn't help but think, maybe fate had chosen him for a reason. A flashback revealed the tragic history of her faction. Once the rulers of food and agriculture, the Abundance clan had thrived until corruption and war forced them to abandon their fields. They turned to monster hunting, but they weren't warriors. One by one, they fell. Desperation had twisted their sacred skill harvest into beheading, a hollow echo of its former grace. Back in the present, Chansu asked shyly, can I pick more apples? The goddess, still trembling from the memory of battle, nodded cautiously. He climbed again, gathering more fruit. As she watched him, Giselle's heart softened. Maybe this boy was sent to me for a reason, she thought. He's mine now, and I won't let anyone take him away. When he came down, she clung to his leg, hugging him tightly. Chansu froze, nervously chuckling. Please don't absorb me. They returned to their resting spot, arms full of apples. The goddess fell asleep in his hands, exhausted from the day's events. Chansu gently laid her down, covering her with a broad leaf. You worked hard today, he whispered. A thunderclap boomed suddenly, shaking the sky. Chansu jumped, shielding the goddess from the noise. His stomach growled in protest. Apples alone weren't enough. Then, a system alert blinked before his eyes. Delivery event activated. Chansu blinked in disbelief. Delivery? From Earth? Here? How will it even find me? He sighed, too tired to care. Guess I'll figure it out tomorrow. As the wind settled and the goddess slept peacefully beneath her leafy blanket, Chansu finally smiled. For the first time in a long while, he felt like he belonged. The scene shifts to the Temple of Circulation, where chaos brews. A furious young woman, Hyesujin, the Apostle of Circulation, storms into her senior's office, slamming the door open. Her senior jumps in shock. Sujin? Why aren't you handling the delivery? She explodes, accusing him of mocking her. You sent me on a 2-night, 3-day trip to a restricted zone. For what? We're broke. Free shipping's killing us, and Chansu's living off apples. Her senior nervously tries to calm her down. insisting she's done nothing wrong. "It's not your fault," he says gently. "You just work too hard. Take a break. Call it a business trip. If you stay, you'll just bury yourself in more work." Sujin crosses her arms, glaring. "Admit it. No one else wanted to go, did they?" He laughs, turning away. "You caught me. But who knows? Maybe you'll find a hidden realm, some rare block with special effects." She scoffs. "Yeah, right. Probably just get frostbite." He waves her off with a grin. "Safe travels, Sujin. Maybe something good will drop while you're gone." Reluctantly, Sujin sighs, muttering, "Fine, I'll go." Her eyes drift to a massive order list. "Why is it so long?" She groans, but determination flickers in her eyes. "Even if this trip's pointless," she says under her breath, "I'm not backing down." And with that, Hyosujin sets off, unknowingly stepping closer to a world far beyond her imagination. Out of nowhere, one of the mysterious eggs Chansu had been guarding suddenly trembled and cracked open. A blinding light burst out, and for a moment, Chansu's heart pounded with excitement. He was sure he had just hatched an SSS-rank creature, but instead of a legendary beast, a tiny yellow chick popped out, chirping cheerfully. His excitement crashed into disappointment. Believing he had wasted the goddess's blessing, he decided he would raise the chick only until it grew large enough to eat. He named it Ari. Moments later, Ari pointed toward another egg, which had also begun to shake. Chansu's hope rose again, only to collapse in fury when a small piglet tumbled out. Outraged, he shouted at the heavens, calling it a scam. Yet despite his anger, he eventually named the piglet Doji. Far away, in a dark and sorrowful realm, Ari and Doji knelt before the goddess of abundance. Her face was filled with regret as she apologized for being unable to protect them. She warned them that her apostle Chansu viewed them as worthless and might one day kill and eat them. Ari tried to laugh it off to ease the tension, but both he and Doji trembled inside. The next morning, the quiet valley shook with the ringing clash of metal. Chansu was out hunting immortals, moving with cold, lethal precision. His blade sliced effortlessly through one monster after another. Ari and Doji watched in terror, stunned by his strength. Later, when they timidly handed him towels, he cut apples for them, smiling eerily as he told them to eat well and grow strong, hinting they would taste better later. The chilling remark left them even more frightened. That night, the warm smell of cooked rice offered momentary comfort. But when the season's first harvest arrived, their fear resurfaced. Chansu refused to share the golden crops with them, instead offering the entire first harvest to the goddess of abundance. She appeared, accepted her share, then allowed the rest to be eaten. Doji devoured the food eagerly, while Ari hesitated, thinking that if he continued down this path, he might end up as fried chicken someday. Meanwhile, Chansu planned to sell his flawless golden imperial apples at the city market. In a bustling trading hall, Sujin Sr. struggled because no one was buying them. Despite beautiful packaging and branding them as Emperor apples, the steep price, 200,000 G, scared customers off. He considered setting up a tasting booth, convinced that one bite would win people over. Suddenly, a worker joyfully announced a sale. Confused, the senior rushed over, only to learn that all the apples had been bought by a single person. The receipt read one name, Rohan. The crowd erupted in whispers. Was that really the Rohan, the pioneer of handicap training and an unmatched swordmaster? When they spotted him leaving the hall with the entire basket of apples, the entire building buzzed with disbelief and excitement. Realizing the significance, Sujin Sr. was stunned. If someone like Rohan bought the apples, this could change everything. Outside, Rohan walked calmly through the streets, carrying the golden apples with ease. He bit into one, and his expression softened into pure satisfaction. The taste was so heavenly, it felt as if he were eating nectar made for gods. The next day, news exploded across the entire world. Headlines everywhere screamed about the latest sensation. Breaking news, the unyielding symbol, the food Rohan ate to become a sword master. Social media went into a frenzy, with people buzzing over the legendary food that supposedly fueled Rohan's rise finally becoming available to the public. At the office, chaos erupted. Sujin's boss, Ryo, panicked as calls flooded his phone non-stop. He couldn't believe someone had published such a bold article. Frustrated, he picked up a call explaining over and over that eating apple number 5 wouldn't magically turn someone into a sword master, and that their company had nothing to do with that claim. But the calls kept coming. When he answered another one, the caller unexpectedly ordered 100 boxes. Shocked, Ryo warned them it wasn't as simple as they believed. Meanwhile, in another realm, Chansu realized a full week had passed since he came to this world. He had settled into a surprisingly comfortable life. While preparing his meal, he noticed little Doji tugging at his pants with a pitiful expression, clearly begging for food. Although he had just fed him earlier, Chansu couldn't resist and shared his meal anyway. Soon, Sujin arrived, smiling warmly, and surprised to see all his familiars hatched, adorable triples who were currently guarding the goddess. Chansu greeted her and asked what brought her. Bursting with excitement, Sujin revealed that all of his apples had sold for 200,000 gold each, and they had been selling out for 2 days straight. Chansu nearly lost his mind with excitement. He pulled at his hair, stunned that something as simple as apples had made him a fortune. He did quick math. With a 30% cut, he earned 60,000 gold per apple. Selling 50 apples a day meant 3 million gold daily. In a year, that was nearly 1 billion gold. The thought thrilled him. Maybe this wealth could help him uncover the truth about his parents. Curious, he asked about commissions. Sujin assured him that since he had a hot-selling product, she would negotiate a better deal. Still, Chansu doubted the apple craze would last forever. Sujin understood, but pointed out that with 1 million potential customers, even selling 100 apples a day would take 27 years, and loyal customers would definitely emerge. Although the number seemed high to him, she explained the market was as large as an old Earth superpower like China, so demand wasn't a concern. As the triples continued to guard the goddess, Sujin held Chansu's hand and encouraged him to scale up apple production. Feeling awkward, he pulled back and mentioned that his other crops had ripened too, urging her to try them because they were just as delicious. Sujin was stunned. He handed her a boiled potato, and the moment she smelled it, she was blown away. One bite revealed a sweet, fluffy, perfectly nutty flavor. She was amazed. Then, Chansu cooked jeon, fries, and more dishes. Sujin was moved to tears by the taste, declaring the food good enough for a 5-star restaurant. Finally, he brought out roasted sweet potatoes, Doji's favorite, and the triples rushed over for food. Even Hamdal munched beside Sujin like a cute plush toy. Chansu wondered whether he should sell these dishes too, but Sujin explained that, while delicious, they wouldn't fetch high prices. Because all apostles were Korean and the culture was heavily Korean-influenced, these foods weren't considered premium products. Apples, however, were extremely profitable. Realizing she might be pushing him too hard, Sujin softened. But Chansu agreed to supply 100 apples daily. Sujin was stunned and relieved, thanking him earnestly. The next day, Chansu returned to chopping vegetables, while Doji and Ari whispered behind him. Doji wondered if they should keep following him everywhere, and Ari insisted that if they didn't watch him, who would? Chansu overheard, annoyed, thinking the two were basically freeloaders. Just then, he spotted an immortal demon chasing Ari and Doji. He muttered in irritation about how trouble always found him, but was glad the immortal ghosts were slow. He commanded Doji to move aside and hurled his sickle. The weapon flew like lightning, slicing the demon clean in half. Surprised, Chansu realized his attack reached farther than before. His skills had leveled up. Wave after wave of immortal demons rushed him, and he cut them down effortlessly. A new system notification appeared. Mass Decapitation unlocked. His decapitation skill now had a wider area of effect. The name sounded odd to him, but he shrugged and continued reaping monsters with a grin, thrilled at his newfound power. From a distance, Ari and Doji watched in terror as their master beheaded multiple creatures at once. In a panic, they ran to the goddess and breathlessly explained that Chansu had started taking off 4 to 5 heads at a time. His strength was terrifying. Ari nervously suggested that maybe, just maybe, the apostle should work on his communication skills too. The goddess is stunned when Ari and Doji explain Chansu's new skill, mass decapitation. She confesses she has never granted such a power in her life. The name alone horrifies her, and she begins doubting whether Chansu is truly human or some kind of reaper from hell. But soon, she realizes what happened and gathers her familiars. Doji innocently believes the goddess gave Chansu the skill, earning a smack from Ari. The goddess clarifies, Chansu's skill evolved on its own. Execution had originally evolved from harvest, and now execution had advanced into mass execution, an evolution almost impossible, something only first-year apostles might achieve. Terrified but grateful, the goddess admits Chansu is both frightening and extraordinary, but his power is the only reason they're all safe. She promises that when he returns, she will give him the communication skill so they can all understand each other. Ari apologizes for seeming scared, and she comforts him. When Chansu arrives, the goddess nervously prepares to introduce her familiars. Suddenly, Chansu receives a system notice. A new skill is available. The goddess expects him to choose communication, believing it will guide him gently and keep him from fighting too much. But instead, the system announces, Promise of abundance acquired. The goddess is shocked. He completely ignored communication. Meanwhile, Chansu himself is confused. He doesn't know what promise of abundance means. Thinking rejecting the first option might anger the gods, he had simply chosen it out of caution. Seeing the goddess and familiars looking gloomy, he checks his skill list, execution and promise of abundance, but finds no explanation. Guessing it represents a pact with the goddess, he offers her an apple in thanks. Suddenly, a system message appears. Points would be returned depending on how the new skill was used. Chansu realizes that giving fulfills the promise and earns him points. Experimenting, he pinches Heimdall's cheeks and feeds Doji repeatedly, watching points rise each time. But Doji eats so much that his belly balloons, frustrating Chansu. At that moment, Sujin rushes in. She informs him that chaos has erupted outside. The Emperor Apple has become so wildly popular that sales were limited to 1 per person, yet over 5,000 reservations were already made. Raiders are now gathering to steal apples and seize their territory. Since the area is outside legal boundaries, crime is difficult to stop. If the block falls, even the goddess could be in danger. Chansu decides to secure the surrounding blocks and build a hidden base closer to Sujin's position. She agrees. If they claim the block and establish a gate, travel restrictions will disappear. He asks why demand exploded so crazily. Sujin explains the market has been overtaken by absurd rumors that the apples enhance skill proficiency, cure diseases, prevent sickness, clear skin, whiten teeth, relieve fatigue, help with weight loss, and boost memory. Chansu nearly collapses at how ridiculous it all sounds. Meanwhile, in another city, Rohan visits the hospital where someone secretly takes photos of him. He meets Hong Yunsu, the Grand Alchemist. Rohan gifts him an Emperor Apple. Yunsu tastes it and is stunned by its perfection, praising the flavor and aroma. Even Rohan jokes that he must have become a culinary god. Yunsu tries to order more apples, but is told reservations are overflowing. He offers to pay double or triple, but still can't get one. The secret photos hit the newspapers. Headlines claim the Grand Alchemist was miraculously discharged after eating the apple. Another article suggests the fruit may cure the side effects of alchemy. At Circulation Trading Company, Ryuk explodes in frustration. Swamped with chaos from fake rumors, the new headlines only make things worse. He mutters angrily, still insisting the Emperor Apple is not the miraculous cure everyone believes it to be. Chansu tells the goddess that he plans to leave that night to claim the surrounding blocks. Shocked, the goddess begs him not to go, clinging to his legs and insisting the journey is far too dangerous. Chansu doesn't understand why she's reacting so dramatically and wonders if she's actually scared. Thinking she might need comfort, he decides to cook her a meal, specifically beef, something he has never eaten or even seen in its real form before. He digs through his pantry, finally finds the beef he ordered long ago, and treats it like treasure. Mouth-watering, he prepares it carefully, seasoning and deep-frying it. The aroma fills the air, smelling far better than the lab-grown meat he knew on Earth. When Piggy and Chicky try to beg for a taste, he insists the beef is only for the goddess. But when he offers it, the goddess crushes it under her foot, furious that he's still planning to leave. Confused, Chansu tastes the beef himself. It's good, but nothing compared to the apple's flavor. He assumes that missing zing is why the goddess rejected it and promises to find her better meat later. Despite Piggy and Chicky pleading for him to stay, Chansu leaves. When he's gone, the two familiars fall asleep instead of guarding the goddess, who sits crying in a corner with wide, teary eyes. Chansu reaches the border of the block realm, where the space itself ripples endlessly. He steps inside and is immediately attacked by a swarm of tiny insects, too small to kill. While fleeing, he suddenly finds himself surrounded by immortal demons, who claim they must defeat him as their destiny. Chansu runs again as the insect swarm disperses. Using the distraction, he escapes the block realm and reaches a nearby shore. A system message informs him that killing immortal demons grants bonus points. Excited, he decides it's worth the danger and prepares to hunt them, especially since nearby monsters are leveling up too. Meanwhile, Sujin is overwhelmed at work, exhausted from non-stop complaint calls about the Emperor Apples. Her senior admits their marketing has spiraled out of control and orders a complete information blackout. No interviews, no statements, total silence. Sujin warns that this could make things even worse, but he insists that even with a knife to the throat, nobody should talk about the apples. At that moment, someone appears behind him. Sujin points out how awkward his knife comment was as her senior nervously turns around, only to find Rohan standing there. Rohan calmly explains he's not threatening anyone. He just wants to know where to find the person who grows the Emperor Apples. He already asked the president but got no answers, so now he's come directly to Sujin's department, determined to locate the cultivator. Back at the office, Rohan confronts Sujin and her senior about the Emperor Apple cultivator. Terrified, Sujin's senior hides behind her, calling himself a family man and whining that Rohan had arrived carrying a sword. Sujin snaps at him, calling him a coward. Her senior nervously tells Rohan that their company never leaks customer information. But when Rohan unsheathes his sword, claiming he had wanted to handle things peacefully, but now couldn't, both Sujin and her senior scream for help, convinced they're about to die. Rohan tries to calm them, saying that if they won't talk, he'll find the truth using his intuition. Sujin is confused, but her senior explains that sword masters use intuition to solve cases. Rohan is famous for it. Meanwhile, Chansu waits impatiently for the swordmaster Sujin warned him about. A system alert suddenly announces someone entering the block, but Chansu sees no one at the gate. Suspicious, he searches around, then freezes in shock as someone tears through the boundary itself. It's Rohan. Rohan asks if he is the grower of the Emperor Apples. Chansu introduces himself and confirms it. Rohan states he wants to buy apples, 100 or 200. Chansu insists he can only sell 50, and Rohan accepts, though Chansu notices the slightest gloom in his eyes. Rohan agrees to the standard price of 200,000 gold per apple, even without packaging. At the apple tree, as Chansu prepares to harvest, Rohan moves faster than humanly possible and collects the apples instantly. Curious, Chansu offers to show him other crops, potatoes, sweet potatoes, beans, but Rohan refuses each one politely. Realizing he needs more land to maintain apple supply, Chansu asks for Rohan's help in exchange for the apples. Rohan questions whether this is fair, but agrees. A few days later, they head to a new block. Rohan moves so swiftly that Chansu struggles to follow. Entering the lush forest, Chansu is struck by how alive this land is compared to his own barren territory. Lost in thought, he suddenly steps into sticky goo. Before he can recover, something lunges out from the shadows. Concerned, he checks on Rohan, who calmly warns him to stay back because the creatures are dangerous. But Chansu refuses. These are plants, and this is his territory. Determined, he charges forward and fights the aggressive plant monsters until they are subdued. Meanwhile, Sujin trudges through the same forest. Her shoes quickly become soaked in mud, and she sighs in frustration. Every time she visits this place, her shoes are ruined. She mutters that she really needs to put a gate here so she won't have to deal with all this mess again. As Sujin approached the forest block, she spotted Chansu and Rohan standing together and frowned in confusion. Irritated, she demanded to know what was happening and reminded Chansu he was supposed to be clearing surrounding blocks. Chansu explained everything, how he fought and captured the strange plant monster. Rohan, observing calmly, noted that Chansu must have been waiting a long time. When Rohan noticed an apple tree nearby, he wondered how apples could grow in such an environment. Chansu said there wasn't even proper soil for trees, but Rohan immediately slashed the ground, parting the muddy puddle and revealing rich soil beneath. He planted a new apple tree using his abilities, whispering for it to grow well since they'd likely meet often. Sujin was overwhelmed and confused. She pointed out that the tree smelled strange. Chansu admitted the scent was off, but explained that these apples had twice the flavor and that he was experimenting with where to inject growth points. He offered her one to taste, but Sujin refused due to the intense smell. Her attention shifted to the captured plant, an ostrich buttweed, a rare nighttime creature known for mimicking an ostrich's backside. Carefully collecting its potion, she excitedly asked if he planned to sell them, insisting they'd fetch a high price. Chansu nervously agreed. As she prepared to leave, Sujin reflected on how unbelievable Chansu was, skilled at fighting, talented at farming, and partnered with a sword master. Yet she was genuinely glad she met him. Snapping out of her daydream when he called her name, she angrily asked what he wanted. Chansu reminded her about the supplies he ordered. She handed him pest-repelling plants and a construction kit, still amazed at everything he was doing. Meanwhile, Goddess Ahri and Doji enjoyed their time together elsewhere. Back in the block, Chansu finally completed his 10-day effort to gather all 100 ownership tokens, officially becoming the block's owner. The new block interface offered two attributes, growth or death. Since the goddess was nearby, he chose growth. The change was subtle, slightly greener grass, but the new attribute boosted plant and animal growth, as well as skill development. However, the downside was that the undead demon in the area had also received the growth buff. While Chansu analyzed the new system, Rohan appeared again. Chansu teased him about running out of apples already. Rohan clarified that running out wasn't the right phrase. He simply wanted as many apples as possible. Chansu warned the flavor had changed due to the new block attribute, but offered a free sample. Approaching the tree, he suddenly found Goddess Ahri and Doji there too, and yelled in frustration at everyone gathering in the same spot. Ahri and Doji eyed Rohan cautiously, unsure if he was a threat. Rohan smirked, calling them interesting familiars, and reached for his sword, causing Chansu to panic, thinking Rohan intended to attack them. But Rohan was simply preparing to pick apples. Realizing Rohan hadn't even noticed the goddess, Chansu relaxed. Rohan then asked if the block had the growth attribute and requested permission to train here long-term, offering monthly rent. When Chansu asked how much, Rohan offered 9,929,421 per month. Overjoyed, Chansu immediately accepted and warmly welcomed Rohan as a resident of his new block. Chansu snaps back to reality and confirms it, though his mind begins to race with worries. He hesitates, imagining terrifying possibilities tied to a swordmaster's training. Chansu is still wary and mentions he cannot provide monsters for training. His stock of points is limited, and he's in no position to supply resources. But then, Chansu gathers his courage and adds a condition of his own. Money isn't the only thing he wants out of this arrangement. He asks for protection. In his mind, he understands all too well that the world has become a battleground. Turf wars are inevitable, and the conflicts lurking beneath the surface will soon erupt in full force. Having someone like Rohan, one of the strongest beings alive, by his side, would make him one of the safest allies in existence. Even though the cost is enormous, and it pains him to spend that much, Chansu believes it's necessary. He's determined to become a returner, and survival is the first step. Rohan considers the request and offers his own condition in return. He'll protect Chansu, but only if his growth is supported. Chansu, thrilled that Rohan hasn't refused, promises to provide 50,000 points worth of enhancement, along with 10 apples every single day. Rohan, ever practical, simply confirms one more thing. He wants to make sure he can still buy more apples separately if needed. They realize that Rohan will now be living with them, and the idea leaves them uneasy. In contrast, Chansu is brimming with excitement at the thought of having a swordmaster for protection. He believes the goddess will be pleased with this alliance. But when he turns around, he notices Ari and Doji looking unusually downcast, while the goddess eyes him silently. He assumes they're simply shy or overwhelmed. Chansu then invites Rohan to meet his familiars. At his encouragement, he tries to get them to greet Rohan, but their reactions are immediate and anxious. Rohan's intense, expressionless stare is too intimidating for them. Doji bolts at once, and Ari grabs the goddess by the hand before fleeing with her. Chansu awkwardly explains that they're just shy around strangers, though it's clear they were terrified. Then, regaining his composure, Chansu turns back to Rohan with determination. He informs him that he has his first request to make. Morning light filters through choking vines as Chansu and Rohan stand together beside a freshly planted apple tree. Chansu's hands are busy filling a basket with fruit, his movements small, almost domestic, while Rohan stands nearby, quietly biting into an apple as if nothing in the world could disturb him. Chansu watches him and thinks, lost in a moment of baffled admiration, the sword master has sunk into apple bliss again. For someone who moves through battlefields and turf wars, Rohan's calm over a simple apple is almost disarming. Rohan unsheathes his sword. Chansu startles, asking what prompted the blade, but Rohan only says there is something there. Their eyes follow his pointing finger to a nearby cluster of strange flowers, and then they see it, a sleeping cat curled among the petals, unassuming, almost ordinary. Chansu's first reaction is confusion. He has not seen animals here before. His mind skips to monsters, that it must be monster, just like Hamdal. The cat looks harmless, even cute. Chansu moves closer with gentle curiosity. Rohan calls for caution, but Chansu cannot resist. He sits down beside the cat and reaches out to touch it. For a moment, the world softens. The cat purrs, languid, content. Chansu beams at Rohan. The moment seems harmless. Then, in an instant, the cat's eyes snap open. Its face twists into sudden fury, and it lashes out with a terrifying snarl. Chansu stumbles back behind Rohan, heart pounding, and blurts that the incident shaved 10 years off his life. Tension snaps the air taut again. Another system window appears, and this time the message is cold and severe. The Apostle of Negation has declared war on the 35 North, 9 East block. Chansu's thoughts spiral. He cannot accept it. Did the Apostle declare war simply because he touched its belly? He turns to Rohan, voice trembling, and asks if this sleepy cat could really be the Apostle of Negation. The war declaration is not a mere tantrum. Declaring war means agents will appear at the block's border, and they will not be monsters. They will be human. The gravity of that word, people, hits Chansu like a punch. For Negation's followers, death simply returns them to their point of origin. The implication is brutal and practical. The battlefield will be continuous, relentless, and strategically warped by resurrection. Chansu's breath catches. Resurrection, like a save point, feels monstrously unfair. For ordinary people, One mistake could mean irrecoverable ruin. To the followers of negation, however, mistakes can be endured and repeated. Anger flares in Chansu's eyes, hot and inevitable. The unfairness becomes fuel. He steels himself, voice trembling between fear and resolve, and demands help. "Rohan, can you help with the fight?" Rohan's answer is measured, the single word carrying the weight of a blade, if necessary. Scene shifts. We see a portal swirling with ominous energy. From its depths, a swarm of skeletal monsters begins to march out, their hollow eyes glowing with lifeless purpose. Behind them follow 3 humans, 2 men and 1 woman. One of the men raises a loudspeaker with theatrical arrogance and demands the cultivator of the Emperor Apples to reveal himself. But the scene shifts suddenly. Far from the battlefield, Haesugan sits slumped in a chair inside the main branch of alchemy. A heavy sigh escapes her as the memory of a recent conversation resurfaces. She remembers asking Rohan about Chansu, curious about this mysterious apple cultivator. Rohan's response had been brief and unintentionally misleading. Rohan said that he was extraordinary, but Rohan had been referring to the apples, not the person. Haesugan, however, took it as a direct endorsement of Chansu himself. Now, in the quiet of the alchemy branch, her mind spins with assumptions. She convinces herself that Mr. O Chansu must be a powerful individual acknowledged by a swordmaster. She wonders how anyone could wield skill in both swordsmanship and farming to such an extreme degree. From his appearance, she estimates him to be in his mid to late 20s at most. To have mastered such drastically different abilities to their peak, that level of talent seems impossible unless he were summoned during one of the earlier mass events. She speculates he could be from the 2nd or 3rd Great Summoning, unless somehow he became younger. Her thoughts tangle into confusion. None of it lines up neatly. She mutters to herself that she doesn't understand. She wonders aloud what might happen next. Would this mysterious man suddenly claim he's living with a sword master? She laughs it off, pretending she's joking. The door to her room bursts open with a sharp blast, startling her so hard she nearly jumps from her seat. Standing in the doorway is Hong Yinsu, the grand alchemist of the branch. His stern eyes lock onto her, and he strides into the room with a presence that crushes the air around him. Fear rattles her thoughts as she tries to process what she may have done wrong. Hong Yinsu holds up a test tube, his expression unreadable. Haesugan recognizes it immediately and feels a chill. It's the ostrich rump weed sap she submitted earlier. His voice cuts through the room as he demands to know where she acquired it. Inwardly, she cries out, "What in the world is happening now?" As Chansu stepped forward alone, Bully's eyes narrowed in disbelief. "What's with that guy? Is he alone?" He noticed the sickle Chansu gripped in his hand and grew wary. "And oh, what's with the scythe?" Finally, he barked, "Are you the owner here? Stop wasting my time and bring the apple." Chansu tightened his grip on the sickle and calmly advanced. Skeleton monsters shuffled forward, their bones clicking ominously. Bully shouted from behind, "See? Can't you see our numbers? What do you plan to do with that rusty old scythe?" Chansu's gaze swept over the group, analyzing their stance. He's not summoning new undead, or showing any signs of preparing a long-range attack. Anger surged from the leader as he bellowed, "We are the denial. We can torment you until the day you die." Chansu's lips curved into a confident smile. The tension hung in the air. A lone young apostle facing a powerful faction, yet calm, calculating, and unafraid with the right ally by his side. The tension escalated as Bully's face flushed crimson with anger. He shouted, his voice trembling with rage, "You! This is your last chance. Bring the Emperor Apple to me right now, or else." Chansu, unfazed, responded coolly, his tone sharp and teasing. "If you want to eat one, you should go to the department store. Why come to a place like this and cause a scene?" The bully's expression darkened further. "Are you prepared to face the consequences?" Chansu smirked, unbothered. "You sure ask a lot of questions. If you're looking for someone to answer all your questions, go to your mom." The bully's face turned even darker, and his group stiffened in shock. The skeleton monsters at his side murmured among themselves, uneasy. "Insulting his mom, that crosses the line. Just because we invaded doesn't mean that's acceptable." Chansu quickly tried to clarify, waving his hands nervously. Hold on. No, that's not... I meant world. There's no chance she'd be dispatched to the same world. That's what I meant." And the same goes for me. But the bully, now seething with full-blown rage, barked orders to his skeletons. Kill him! Meanwhile, the scene shifted to a calm alchemy laboratory. Please, just tell me one thing. This sap, did Rohan happen to gather it? Hai Sujin tried to distance herself, her voice soft. And no, that's not it. Hong Yinsu pressed on, refusing to let her evade the question. Then another master did? Sujin nodded nervously. Yeah, probably. Relief flashed across Hong Yinsu's face. That's a relief. We couldn't afford to keep receiving supplies at a master's labor rate. His thoughts raced as he considered the sap in detail. I absolutely cannot let this slip away. He turned back to Sujin, explaining the importance of her contribution. As you know, ostrich Vipul's sap has a high degradation rate, so it's difficult to maintain its purity. Not to mention how difficult it is to harvest. However, the sap you've brought maintains a higher purity than any we've seen before. Taking out a document, he handed it to her. I don't know what kind of miracle you performed, but can you continue to supply it to us? Shansu's hands tremble for a heartbeat. He yells back trying to de-escalate, but the words fall flat. Ah, I told you that's not what I meant. His mind clears. We can't talk this out, he thinks. I guess I'll just have to clean this up first. From the bully's side comes only bafflement. Why is he so calm? Why so confident? But Shansu is already focused. He asks one simple question more to himself than anyone else. By the way, are all these skeletons mass-produced from the same factory? And then, with a calm, almost clinical motion, he activates his skill, mass decapitation. In a single fluid arc, Shansu swings his sickle, bone meets blade. Skeletons topple not one, not two, but dozens fall in a single sweep. Heads and limbs rain through the air like a storm of white petals. He swivels the sickle, watching the carnage settle, and says simply, "They're perfect to be cut down all at once." The bully stammers in disbelief, shouting, "What is this nonsense?" Bone fragments and skulls fly, and in a grotesque moment, several heads hurtle straight toward the bully, landing at his feet with a sick thud. He crumbles back, horrified. Shansu steps onto a fallen skeleton, calm and unshaken. They're a lot weaker than I thought. Maybe it's because they're nothing but bones. He fixes the bully with a steady look and asks coolly, "So will you surrender?" The bully grits his teeth, fury overtaking fear. "Useless trash," he spits. With a trembling hand, he produces a purple pendant, a summoning relic. His voice shakes with forced bravado as he confesses, "I'll admit it. I didn't think I'd have to bring this guy out, but you should consider this an honor." He slams the pendant down and roars the name, summoning forth Hercules. A swirl of purple magic claws at the ground. The soil trembles. Something enormous rises, an undead colossus, a hulking Hercules forged of bone and dark energy. It towers over the battlefield, a nightmare made flesh. Shansu stares at the giant and can't help but think dryly about the name. I think we should hear the original owner's thoughts on that name. He'd have a solid case for defamation. But there's no time for jokes. The bully, chest puffed, shouts in triumph. He bellows, "Tear him to shreds, Hercules!" The giant moves. The battlefield holds its breath. Hercules lunges forward, each massive movement shaking the ground beneath Shansu's feet. 30 million gold and 100,000 points. Shansu thinks, isn't that about 200 emperor apples? The undead colossus swings a giant hand aiming to crush him, but Shansu slips easily out of its path. Another strike, then another, yet Shansu dances backward, each step measured, each dodge precise. The giant leaps toward him, an unstoppable force of bone and shadow, and Shansu's hand closes around his sickle. A small, confident smile plays across his lips. "How nice of you to come down all on your own." The sickle arcs. Bones snap. The undead Hercules' neck is severed in one clean strike. The giant collapses with a resounding crash. A woman steps beside him, sharp and commanding. How could you just stand there and watch while things get this bad?" Her name is revealed, Kim Sue, the fourth-generation apostle of denial. "You're the one who stepped up so confidently. Why complain now?" she snaps. "Is it really over now? Even I would have trouble with a third phase." Then looking straight at Kim Sue, his grin widens. Oh, I thought you were just a background character. Kim Sue steps forward. Her eyes glow a deep, ominous red. Instantly, a system notification flickers in Chansu's view. Tip: the opponent is using skill denial of life to curse the target. She smiles wickedly. Chansu exhales quietly, realization dawning. Ah, so you were going to be an important character. Another system message blinks. Tip: danger. The battle is far from over. Chansu dropped to both knees, his strength fading fast. Kimsu's eyes glowed faintly as she activated her power, and behind her, a man's voice rang out. It was Kim Hee-seok. He sneered with satisfaction. Yes, that's it. You should have known your place. He turned and ran, vanishing into the forest. As he moved, he sniffed the air. I smell it, the faint scent of apples. It's here. It has to be just a matter of time. But deep within the bushes, hidden from sight, another figure was waiting. A man with fiery red hair and a blade gleaming in the sunlight. The swordmaster Rohan. Hee-seok froze. He felt a killing intent behind him and spun around, shouting, "Who's there? Who's hiding?" But there was no answer, only the wind. His instincts screamed danger, and then it was too late. Rohan appeared out of nowhere, his sword flashing faster than thought. Hee-seok's eyes widened. That red hair, that sword. No way, Rohan. Before he could move, a single slash cut through the silence, and everything went dark. Meanwhile, Chansu, he was no longer on the battlefield. He sat in the middle of a road, holding his head as confusion filled his mind. Ugh, my head. What just happened? I was fighting denial, right? He looked around. The air was peaceful. The sky was clear. This place, this is Earth. But something felt wrong. The scenery was too calm, too perfect. Children were laughing in the distance, something he hadn't seen in years. He muttered softly, "No, this isn't the Earth I know." Then a familiar voice called out, "Oh, Chansu!" He turned around. Two silhouettes appeared, a man and a woman, smiling warmly. "Where did you run off to? We were so worried, son." Chansu's eyes widened. His breath caught in his throat. In the next moment, tears welled up, spilling down his cheeks. "Mom, Dad." Without thinking, he ran forward and threw his arms around them, clinging tightly as if afraid they'd vanish again. His voice trembled, filled with raw emotion. "Mom, Dad, I missed you so much. Where have you been all this time? You're not going anywhere again, right?" For a brief second, warmth filled his heart. But then everything changed. His father turned his face away, silent, distant, and his mother gently pushed Chansu back. Confused and trembling, Chansu stared at them, his voice breaking as tears streamed down his face. "Mom, where are you going?" But they didn't answer. Both of them began walking slowly toward a distant radiant light, their figures fading with each step. "No, don't go. Don't leave me behind again. No, don't go. Don't leave me behind again." Just as his cries echoed into silence, a firm hand landed on his shoulder. He looked up and saw Rohan standing beside him. Rohan's calm voice broke through the illusion. "This is just that woman's trick. Calm down." Chansu's shoulders trembled. His eyes were still filled with tears, his breath shaky, but he managed a faint nod, the warmth of Rohan's presence anchoring him back to reality. Then Rohan turned his gaze forward, eyes narrowing sharply. Across from them, Kim Sue was kneeling on one knee, bloodied, shaken, her expression pale with disbelief. Her trembling lips parted as she whispered under her breath, barely audible. "Why is the sword master here?" Chansu gripped his sickle tightly, his knuckles turning white. He took an unsteady step toward Kim Sue, who was still kneeling on the ground, but his whole body trembled. This was the first time he had ever raised a weapon against a human. His breath hitched. His hands shook so violently the blade almost slipped. Rohan noticed. Without a word, he rested his hand on his sword, and in the next heartbeat, he moved. A flash of steel. The air split with a sharp whoosh as Rohan leapt forward. Kim Sue's eyes widened in panic. "Wait!" But before she could finish, Rohan's sword cut clean through her. Time seemed to freeze. Chansu's body locked up and he squeezed his eyes shut, unable to watch the moment. The silence that followed was heavy, almost suffocating. Then Rohan's calm voice broke through it, cold and matter-of-fact. "Did I interfere unnecessarily?" Chansu wiped his face, blinking the tears away. His voice was hoarse, but steady. No, thank you, Rohan. He pushed himself up. Shall we head back for now? We can clean this up later. Around them, the skeletons Chan-Su had fought began to fade, defeated and returning to dust. Rohan studied him for a moment and then asked the only question that mattered. What's your plan now? Chan-Su straightened, a spark of ambition lighting his battered face. I'm going to build the strongest faction in the world. First, I'll conquer the surrounding blocks. He turned to Rohan, a silent plea hidden beneath his words. May I keep asking for your help? Rohan answered with a single dry line. I'll take my bonus in apples. So that cat, what exactly is it? Rohan's tone grew serious as he named it. It's one of the 7 great disasters, the Territory Devourer. Hearing those words, Chan-Su's hand trembled, and his sickle slipped from his grip. It clattered to the ground as his face drained of color. Cut to another place entirely, a cold gray cell where Kim Hee-seok sat. A crimson system window materialized before him, blunt and merciless. You have been defeated in the war. War reparations will be calculated based on the battle results. The power difference between you and denial is extreme. A surcharge penalty will be applied. You must pay 1 billion gold in reparations. Hee-seok's jaw clenched so hard his knuckles went white. He spat out the words, disbelief and rage mixing in his voice. No way. What do you mean, power difference? He had the Swordmaster on my side. The red window blinked again with cruel efficiency. The party has insufficient funds to pay. Reparations will be charged to denial. Panic and anger warred across Hee-seok's face. He lunged toward the floating window, trying to grab it as if he could rip the verdict away. Wait a minute. No, I'll pay for it. I'll pay it back, no matter what it takes. A hollow clatter echoed through the stone corridor. Kim Hee-seok's eyes snapped open as 2 skeletal soldiers seized him, dragging him out of the cell. He bellowed, struggling against their iron grip. Let go! Let go of me! A cold, composed voice stopped the commotion. A single foot stepped forward, the silhouette belonging to a woman whose presence chilled the air. If you're going to make someone pay for their sins, you should do it right. What is this farce? The skeletons tightened the shackles on Hee-seok's wrists. He glared up at the woman, teeth bared, fury and humiliation twisting his face. Why are you here? She was introduced by reputation alone. Choi Dan-ha, 4th-generation apostle of denial. She sat down with an expression that was equal parts bored and dangerous. You had better explain exactly what happened. A small, almost cruel smile curved her lips. If you don't want to suffer a fate worse than death. Hee-seok spat out the truth, or what he insisted was the truth. His voice trembled with panic and a hint of defiance. Emperor apples. I found an emperor apple orchard. Choi Dan-ha's eyes narrowed. This isn't a lie to get yourself out of this, is it? He shouted to prove himself, trying to make his words sound bigger than his fear. It's true. Rohan, that freak obsessed with emperor apples was there. Choi Dan-ha's expression shifted, calculating. If the Swordmaster had fought with you, the reparations wouldn't have been this high. Hee-seok lashed out again, desperate, explaining that it had been the Swordmaster's disciple who'd actually beaten the undead, and that why Kim-Su. At the name, Choi Dan-ha rose from her chair, intrigued. Kim-Su, so she was there too? She obviously joined through some loophole, probably as a mercenary or a guide. Hee-seok tried to back away, panic making his voice break. Why are you coming over here? Stay back. Choi Dan-ha smiled in a way that made the chains rattle. She stepped closer, leaning toward him like a predator deciding whether to toy with its prey. It's a shame I can't hold her fully responsible for this incident, but she must have experienced the pain of death. I'm rather pleased about that. Then her tone turned pragmatic, almost businesslike. She eyed Hee-seok. I've got a great idea. Won't they be short-handed for all that farming? As she grabbed Hee-seok's face, forcing him to meet her gaze. Take them all with you, and have them work off the debt. What does that mean? There's no way they'd let outsiders into an emperor apple orchard. Choi Dan-ha's expression turned cold and hungry with possibility. There is a way. Aren't you curious? Her voice dropped to a whisper that felt like a threat. What happens when you turn a human into an undead? Her eyes bored into him. The implication hung in the air. If he didn't find a way in, he might be forced to learn the answer for himself. If you don't want to find out firsthand, find a way in. Kansu smiling as he stares at the tiny cat sitting. Its fur glows softly, and the way it tilts its head makes it almost too cute to handle. So that cat, what could its identity be? It's one of the 7 Calamity's territorial predators. Kansu freezes. The sickle in his hand slips and falls to the ground. All the color drains from his face. What? A calamity? He immediately hides behind Rohan, trembling. Are we gonna be okay? Rohan doesn't even look back. It'll be fine. If it had any hostility, we'd already be in trouble. Kansu peeks from behind him, still shaking. What if it has bad intentions? If it did, Rohan replies casually, it would devour our territorial rights. Why would it eat territorial rights? Is that even something you can eat? He quickly pulls open his system window. A neat message glows in the air. He sighs in relief. At least it hasn't eaten anything yet. If it's not after my claim, then why did it come here? Rohan, munching on an emperor apple like it's nothing special, answers simply, to eat catnip. Kansu blinks and turns toward the tiny predator. Huh? But it's not even a real cat. Then he notices something near his right side, a patch of catnip flowers, wilted and shrunken. Wait! Huh? It actually shrank. No way! Kansu raises his hand and activates his skill, Blessing of Abundance. A soft glow spreads across the ground. The wilted flowers rise back to life, blooming in an instant. The moment they do, the little Calamity's eyes sparkle. It trots toward Kansu and sits right in front of him, tail flicking. Is it telling me to touch it? He hesitantly reaches out and pats its head. The sensation surprises him. It feels totally different from touching Heimdall, big and smooth. But then a dangerous thought pricks his mind. I shouldn't be fooled by its cuteness. It's a calamity, after all. It must have a terrifying true form, too. He clears his throat and speaks seriously to the cat. If you protect this block, I'll give you all the catnip you want. Deal? The creature blinks once and lets out a soft meow. Kansu turns to Rohan. Looks like we'll be living together for a while. What should I call it? Territorial predator is too long, Rohan says, thinking. Let's shorten it to Yongshik. The cat's expression immediately darkens. It glares at Rohan and growls, an unmistakable threat. Kansu's sweat drops. Well, how about night sky? The creature pauses, then quietly sits down, tail swishing in approval. Is it asking me to explain the name? Kansu wonders, watching its calm posture. More human-like than some people, he mutters under his breath. Then he gives the explanation it's waiting for. Your fur is as beautiful as the starry night sky, and your eyes remind me of the bright moon. How's that? A soft meow comes back, clearly meaning yes. Kansu beams. Looks like it worked out well, right? In contrast, Rohan's face falls into disappointment. Yeah, but honestly, what's wrong with Yongshik? Kansu looks at Rohan with disbelief, narrowing his eyes. You really meant that, huh? Before the silence settles, a glowing system window flashes open in front of him. You have won the war. As a victory privilege, a compensation of 1 billion has been granted. Kansu freezes. 1 billion? Rohan, the compensation is 1 billion. But before he can celebrate, the window abruptly disappears. Another message replaces it. The negation has requested negotiations. Until negotiations are over, the loser will be retained as a prisoner. Kansu's excitement dies instantly. What, my billion? Give it back. His scream echoes only in his head. Night settles. Everyone is resting. The goddess, still in her tiny plant form, sleeps soundly, alongside Doji, Heimdall, and the RA curled up in a warm pile. Kansu sits, arms resting on his knees, speaking softly to the goddess even though she appears to be asleep. When I first got dispatched here, I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. But because of you, I've actually enjoyed my time. His voice trembles a little. Today, I saw my parents. It was just an illusion, a curse, but still, it made me happy. I guess I miss them more than I thought. He takes a breath and clenches his fists. So I made up my mind. His eyes shine with determination. I'll make abundance the greatest power in this world, and I'll help you reclaim your original form. Morning arrives. Kansu sits at the table with a full spread of food, potatoes, fries, burgers, pizza, everything. Across from him, Rohan eats an apple. Just an apple. Kansu slams his hands on the table. Kansu points at the feast in frustration. Don't you know about protein, fat, carbs? A balanced diet is essential. Before he can finish, Rohan jumps up, taking his apple with him, and sprints away like someone is trying to rob him. I'm not trying to steal it, Kansu shouts, but Rohan refuses to listen. Kansu sighs loudly. There are so many tasty things here. He looks at the goddess, Doji, Heimdall, and the R happily munching away. Then he glares back at Rohan. But you won't even consider eating anything except apples. He rubs the back of his head, defeated. Oh dear. He turns to his summons Dogi, the carry, and Heimdall. You all enjoyed your meal, didn't you? Chansu kneels in front of the goddess, smiling gently. You too had a good meal, right? Silence. Dogi freezes. Heimdall's cheeks puff out. Even the goddess stiffens. Chansu blinks, confused. Rohan still doesn't know the goddess's true identity, so maybe she'll forgive me for being a bit casual. Suddenly, Ari flaps her wings furiously and chirps angrily. Chirp! How dare you speak informally to the goddess? Chirp. Just because you've been earning points? Well, you think you can act up now? Chansu sighs internally. I'll explain later. On the other side of the room, Rohan sips freshly made apple juice. Doggy adjusts a pair of tiny glasses on his nose and speaks in a deep, serious voice. Oink. Wait a second. Maybe the apostle is doing it on purpose. Ari turns to him. Chirp. What are you talking about? And where did those glasses even come from? Doggy pushes them up his snout. Oink. You're so dim. That swordsman doesn't even know who the goddess is. Oink. But the apostle speaks to her so casually. Isn't that digging his own grave? Ari grabs Doggy by the chest feathers and tilts him upward. Chirp. Try making that mocking voice one more time. The glasses fall off. Doggy immediately switches personalities. Oink. I want to eat an apple. Ari hands him the glasses again. Doggy clears his throat. Oink. Could you let go of me and speak like a gentleman? Ari rips the glasses off again. Doggy, oink. Apple. Ari, completely done with the nonsense, smashes the glasses on the floor. Chansu pretends not to see any of this. Shall we get going now? The goddess gasps softly, a tiny breath of shock, as if she has something she desperately wants to say. A teardrop falls from her eye. Chansu turns toward Rohan instead. Ms. Haisujin will be here soon. Then he turns back to the goddess. Keep the house safe, okay? The goddess tries to speak, but nothing comes out. Chansu tilts his head. Goddess? I didn't tell her about the war because I didn't want her to worry, but she must have known anyway. The skull must have transmitted everything. He gently pats her tiny head. I'll be right back. Can you wait for me? Rohan coughs lightly from behind. I have something to tell you. Chansu looks at him. What is it? Rohan's voice grows serious. The flow of time in each world is different. Even between Earth and here, time moves differently. He pauses. So don't rush too much. Chansu lowers his eyes, a soft smile forming. Thank you. Always. He straightens up. All right then, shall we really go now? He turns to leave, but not before glancing back one last time. The goddess is crying. Ari stands with her, while Dogi lied, knocked out on the floor from Ari's earlier rage. Chansu laughs gently. Heimdall, you're coming with us, right? He reaches into his bag and pulls out something shiny. You think I bought this for nothing? Heimdall's eyes widen with excitement. Chansu proudly reveals the item. Want to be with your pet hamster anytime, anywhere? No need to worry anymore. With this hamster carrier, you can travel together everywhere. Heimdall immediately climbs inside, thrilled. Chansu turns to Rohan with a grin. All right, then shall we go? He takes a deep breath, eyes shining with determination. Time to expand our territory. Kansu stepping through a shimmering barrier, entering a new territory with ease. A quiet smile forms on his face as he looks around. Now, even without a transportation pass or Rohan, moving around won't be a problem. I'm so lucky. Before he can. Take another step, a familiar voice calls out. You're here. Kansu turns to find Hee Sojin waiting, for him with a gentle smile. I heard you fought with a negation? He smiles back. Ah, you're here early. Her expression softens the moment she sees him, a quiet relief settling over her as she says, I'm so glad you're safe. A moment later, Rohan casually steps through the same barrier, still eating an emperor apple like nothing in the world has ever stressed him. Kansu gestures toward him. Rohan helped me, so it wasn't as hard as I thought, and he also agreed to be my bodyguard for a while. Hee Sojin freezes. Why are you two showing up together? Again? Kansu answers with complete seriousness. We decided to live together for the time being. Hee Sojin presses her hand against her forehead. I had a feeling, but seeing it actually happen is something else. She sighs deeply. You really manage to surprise me every time. Something brushes against her leg. She looks down to find Night Sky quietly sitting beside her. Where did you get this cat? She asks. Kansu answers casually. It found its own way here. Its name is Night Sky. Hai Sojin kneels and studies the creature carefully. It's very smart, isn't it? Kansu lifts Heimdall's carrier to show her. Heimdall's here too, she says softly, cheeks turning the slightest shade of pink when she sees the tiny hamster inside. Kansu smiles. Proudly. Yes, I think he's incredibly smart. His thoughts drift to Night Sky. Smart enough to. No, eating the ownership rights would destroy the entire catnip field. Hai Sojin watches the cat for a moment. A monster this smart and this pretty is rare. If you captured it and sold it, you'd probably find plenty of buyers. Kansu lets out an awkward breath. That would be difficult. Nearby, Heimdall rolls around inside his spherical carrier while Night Sky munches on a catnip leaf. Hai Sojin continues, if it's hard to find something like this, you could always install a dungeon. Monsters naturally gather inside them. Kansu's eyes widen. So that's another way to use a dungeon. Right now I have 443 regular customers. There must be even more somewhere. This could be useful later. He nods. Anyway, it came here from another block, so that would be difficult too. Hai Sojin blinks. If it's from another block, where? It came on its own, Kansu admits. So I don't know. She hesitates, lowering her voice. Is it? Perhaps a human who turned into a cat? Kansu sighs and answers honestly. Hai Sojin looks at him calmly and asks, a territory devourer? Yes, he replies. That's right. At that exact moment, Heimdall and Night Sky face each other. Night Sky opens its mouth, drool dripping as, if planning to swallow the hamster whole, and places a paw on Heimdall's transparent ball. Back. Near the adults, Hai Sojin murmurs, is there even a monster with that name? Kansu answers, quietly. He said it's not a monster, but one of the 7 great disasters. Hai Sojin lets out a light laugh, brushing off the tension. That territory devourer. But in the next heartbeat, the meaning hits her. Her expression snaps into panic. She grabs Kansu's wrist and lifts off the ground using the special shoes strapped to her feet. Wind rushes past as she drags him through the sky, eyes filling with tears of fear. Why? Why is one of the 7 great disasters here? They land in another part of the territory, and she instantly lets go of him, shouting, there are records of it devastating not just ownership rights, but the blocks themselves. Why would a disaster like that come here? Kansu sits on the ground, adjusting himself before he answers. Calmly, well, for now, it's the catnip. I'm guessing it came because of the catnip. Hai Sojin stares at him. It's not even a real cat, and you're saying it's satisfied with just catnip. Kansu scratches the back of his head. I don't know the full story either, but maybe it's something like this. He begins explaining slowly. It costs at least 200,000 points to conquer Aya block, but the blessing placed on the catnip field costs maybe 10,000 points or less. On the surface, that's a 20-fold difference. But what if the absorption efficiency changes depending on the form? Let's say the ratio is 1 hour is 90 minutes. Then a block is worth 2,000 points to Night Sky, but the catnip is worth 9,000. He looks up at her. That's more than 3 times the difference. Of course, I don't know if that's the real ratio or if any of this is even true, but as the one who was chosen, I don't exactly have a choice. They begin walking back. Hai Sojin keeps glancing at him anxiously. It'll be fine, right? It'd be a problem if I showed up one day and you were completely broke. Kansu waves it off. They say cats are territorial, so won't it at least protect this block? Suddenly a scream rings out. Kansu spins around. Night Sky is holding Heimdall in its mouth. Night Sky, no! Stop! He rushes forward. Hammy is not for eating! He quickly pulls Heimdall out of the cat's jaws, scolding the creature as he hugs the trembling hamster. I introduced you so you two could be friends. You're not listening at all. Still holding Heimdall, he whirls toward Rohan, who has been standing there watching the entire thing. Rohan, why are you just watching? Rohan shrugs. I was going to stop it if anything happened. Hammy was about to be eaten. Heimdall clings to Kansu, shaking and crying. Kansu pats him gently. You were startled, weren't you? Hai Sojin leans forward slightly, examining Heimdall from where she stands. You're not hurt anywhere, right? We'll just have to be careful until they get along. By the way, Chansu, I actually have something to tell you. Chansu raises an eyebrow. Did something else happen? I already sent a message about the ostrich sap. Hai Sojin nods. A scammer showed up claiming ownership of the Emperor. Apples. Chansu lets out a long exhale. Wow, there really is a scammer for everything, right? And here's the best part, she continues. They said that because the apples contain the blessing of abundance, they, as the apostle of abundance, also have rights to them. Chansu and Hamdal both freeze in shock. Huh? He mutters weakly. She folds her arms. They even brought an apple they claimed was proof, but it was a crude imitation compared to the real Emperor apple. I heard they even made fake contracts using an artifact of abundance, but now I can completely deny their claims. She sighs in relief. What a relief. But then she notices the way Chansu's expression subtly changes. Is something wrong? Chansu's face darkens as he processes everything he just heard. His thoughts tumble over each other, sharp and tense. There's another apostle besides me. They never showed themselves before, and now they're suddenly claiming ownership in the name of abundance. Are they even a real apostle in the first place? He takes a slow breath and then answers Hai Sujin firmly. We have to find that person. She blinks. Do you know them? Chansu hesitates only for a second before speaking. The truth. No. The truth is, I'm the apostle of abundance. Hai Sujin freezes, eyes widening. Chansu continues, voice steady. They say money makes the world go round, right? Please put out a bounty. He picks up an emperor apple from the ground and dusts it off. Offer an additional reward for the artifact, and put out a wanted notice for their capture alive, with a reward of 100 emperor apples. From the side, Rohan stares at him, salvia dripping, thinking. Only one thing, 100 apples. The scene shifts. Somewhere deep in the back alleys of negation, a lone figure walks through the narrow passage, cloak pulled over his face, footsteps echoing like soft taps of wood. Frustration seeps into every step. To persuade Rohan and his disciple, I need undead. Kim Hyosik grits his teeth. An apostle of denial without undead is like a steamed bun without red bean paste, sushi without fish, budae jjigae without ham. It's like bungee pang with no filling. He groans and rubs his forehead. I'd settle for low-quality undead at this point, but those fifth-generation runts will only mess everything up. He pushes open the door of a shop. An old man looks up and smirks. Well, well, look who it is. Poor broke mister. Kim Hyosik clicks his tongue. I'm a customer, you know. He slams a list onto the table. Whatever, just give me this. The shopkeeper raises an eyebrow. Payment? Kim Hyosik reluctantly lifts a magic crystal. You take materials, right? The old man reaches for it. You have to let go for me to take it, don't you? Kim Hyosik clings to it a second longer. You know, I paid extra to get this from the old man, right? I know. Hyosik sighs and adds, almost pleading, and I'm selling it for less than the market price. The shopkeeper snorts. I'm not. Senile, brat. Hyosik's shoulders slump. Just give me a good price. The old man sighs. Geez, do you think I dig this stuff up for free? Hyosik lowers his voice dramatically. This might be the last time we see each other. We've known each other for a while. At least throw in something. Extra. The shopkeeper scoffs, but his expression softens slightly. You've got a talent for making people soft. Right. You went broke hunting for those emperor apples, didn't you? Hyosik frowns. You're not talking about that absurd scammer story, are you? It seems it's not entirely baseless, the old man says. Even humans who think they're enlightened are getting fooled. Anyway, I've got some hot information fresh from the street. Hyosik's annoyance spikes. Hurry up and tell me. The old man leans forward. There's a bounty on that. Scammer. 100 emperor apples if captured alive, and there's a separate reward if you bring in the artifact. Kim Hyosik freezes. His eyes widen. Then slowly, a smile stretches across his face. Thanks for the extra. The shopkeeper waves a hand. If you're thankful, come again. Hyosik bursts out of the shop and runs through the alley, grin stretching ear to ear. I finally found it, my great pose gift. His laughter echoes through the narrow streets. Let's stay calm. As much as I'd like to blow his head off, it's about stopping the nonsense. Who is it? Chansu is confronted by someone claiming to be the true apostle of abundance. What are you talking about? Did you say that everything was for you from the start? The antagonist declares, that's right. The apostles and the temple, it was all thanks to me. Even if it's the same world's common goal, you went off and did your own good and left. You might have something to prey on. Chansu realizes the truth. He's been blessed by the goddess of abundance all along. Her certificate materializes, radiating divine power. Green energy erupts around Chansu as he awakens to his true power. A small spirit companion appears beside him, and beautiful flowers surround them. I'm fine. I already have more than enough without it. Chansu senses the energy of abundance flowing through everything. Glowing green light surrounds the spirit as it connects to a mysterious site. To keep an eye on this traitor. The fact that it can suddenly send a message means it's connected to that site somehow. The divine connection transmits information, alerting someone to this awakening. Chansu thinks, I don't even have the intention to kill him in the first place, making it sound like I can't kill him due to some constraint. So Han, what happens if you kill someone from the same faction? The antagonist plants doubt. That's right, Rohan isn't an apostle, is he? Mr. Oh Chansu. The reviving negation is an evil much worse than even most. Its existence is a heresy. A warning system activates about the consequences of breaking divine law. Crimson warnings appear. If you break it, you deserve a penalty, not only for you, but for the captured negation too. It promises you power. My promise has seen through the centuries. If you break it, you can be current right at this convert. Chansu firmly refuses. I don't need it. The god of negation persists. Just try it for 1 month. I said no. Even if it is a game world, I can't really leave without making a choice. The antagonist stammers, so you had a certificate? If you really wanted it, you could have just captured the negation too. The god of negation continues pushing. It promises you that you are the clear and most can become an apostle of negation. My promise has been throughout the centuries right at this current. Chansu maintains his position. I don't need it. Purple and dark energy swirls as he makes his stand against negation's temptation. The antagonist begs, spare me. I promise I won't do this again, please. Chansu responds coldly, it's already too late. The man falls with a pained ugh. The antagonist crashes to the ground as Chansu delivers his judgment. Chansu thinks, as much as I'd like to blow his head off. The fallen man cries out, I had no choice. Until now I was just an ordinary human who had never even heard his name. Chansu cuts him off. Stop the nonsense, I don't know Eternal. I just followed because the goddess gave me enough money to live on the side. But I didn't even get to keep the money. I just ended up tricked too. Chansu looks down at him. So you're saying you're utterly careless? The man admits, there's nothing. I started up giving up at the foundation I laid down. Chansu declares, I have heard your last words. He extends his hand with power radiating. Go in peace.